So it looks like the Chicago Bears offense, they're quietly making an unexpected change on offense. And so coming into the season, everybody's been thinking this wide receiver lineup, it's set, right? DJ Odunze. And then everybody's been focused on second round pick Luther Burden as a number 3. But among others, team insiders Adam Hodge and Adam Johns, they've revealed that it's been Zaccheaus who's been earning the spotlight in spring practices, all the way leading up into these mandatory minicamp practices here. And the Bears, they seem to place heavy value on one thing: availability. Well, it's among other things, but that seems to be a really major emphasis with this coaching staff. Nobody's going to just get thrown the starting job. If you look at talent-wise here, Burden, he's much more gifted than Zaccheaus. Let's just straight up recognize that. That much isn't difficult to figure out. But the issue is the rookie, he hasn't been on the field. And Johnson runs a team built around earning your spot. No block, no rock. And he doesn't really care where you're drafted, honestly. You're not going to see the field unless you have earned it. And Burden just hasn't had the opportunity. He hasn't been available. And the Chicago Bears have no idea how his fit is going to be in this offense. He's expected to be ready for the start of training camp, but it sounds like he's already way behind Zaccheaus. And not only has he not missed a practice since he's been with the Bears, he's been making plays on the field on the regular, and coaches are not inclined to play Burden immediately if Zaccheaus is showing that he's the perfect match for this offense, because I'm going to go through his player profile a little bit, and if you can see that Luther Burden is the perfect mold of what Amon-Ra St. Brown was for Detroit, you can make the argument that Zaccheaus is just as much of a fit in this role. So I'm going to get into this. And it's also a team that's not desperate for wide receiver help, right? We've already got DJ Moore. We've already got Rome Odunze. And Zaccheaus, he might be there just to be the shot in the arm that this defense needs, this offense needs, a guy that can take the top off of defenses, and also a guy that's just really, really, really versatile. So what did this offseason look like? Free agency was definitely pretty much defined by 5 transactions, right? You've got 2 trades for guards, Tooney and Jackson, then Drew Dahlman, best center on the market. He is in town. And then it was kind of capped off with even more. Dio came at end, Grady Jarrett to hold down this defensive line, to be a coach on the field and off the field and in the locker room. He's really going to help gel these defensive players together and show them what it means to be a pro, not only on the field, but in your personal life as well. But the addition that really fell through the cracks was this of Zaccheaus. And we're looking at a really quick, a really nimble target, had a super productive season with Washington Commanders last season. Really one of his best years of his career. I love grabbing a player who's actually ascending. He helped them reach the NFC Championship. And then the team decided to do something different, right? They traded for Deebo Samuel, and Zaccheaus kind of didn't have a spot anymore. Head coach Ben Johnson, he absolutely loves versatile slot players. So bringing him to Chicago was a really easy decision. And now it's already paying dividends because there is now insurance in case Luther Burden just isn't quite ready because he hasn't had time to learn the offense and be on the field. Zaccheaus is getting a huge head start, and he's a really good player. I mean, you're looking at him, he's not immediately sexy, but when I hear the phrase that Ben Johnson likes to use, no block, no rock, that's 100% who Zaccheaus is. He's a player that does the dirty work, and he's a player that a lot of football junkies, they see him as a role player coming off a career year as a guy who just blocks his butt off and has great speed. But he's more than that. I really like this player. He's defined by yak out of the slot. And that's what I really want to talk about, because we're talking about the guy having 506 yards last year, but he had an unbelievable 284 of them being yak yards, yards after the catch. Now, he can line up in a variety of spots, And I want to see the Bears add a wide receiver, maybe even more before this regular season starts. But Zaccheaus, I think he's going to be fully capable of filling this slot spot for the Chicago Bears, even if Luther Burden isn't ready to go. I think he's a really good insurance policy. Kind of looking at who he was as a player in college as well. Super versatile, and according to Virginia's game notes, he was a guy who at the time was the only active player with 2,000 career receiving yards and at least 450 rushing yards. And since Keenan Allen is not re-signed, at worst, he is a valuable depth piece. At best, he's our starting number 3 if Burden is not ready. So we're looking at inside-outside versatility, a key guy in the Commanders last season, the 3rd highest rating wide receiver, and if we don't bring anyone else in, if there's no other shift, he's going to be a valuable guy in special teams as well. He's going to fit really well. So to recap on Zaccheaus, I think he has the capability to be special in this offense. Just coming into his prime, last year he hit a career-high 45 catches and 3 touchdowns for the Commanders. He's a role player previously in his career, and he can do a really good job filling in for Luther Burden here on this iteration of the Chicago offense. And he also doesn't need to be an absolute baller. We're looking at Colston Loveland. We're looking at Cole Kmet still being there. We're looking at some other pieces on this roster as well. But the guy just had a career high, 45 catches, 506 yards, 3 touchdowns with Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. It's possible that I said Redskins during that. If I did, help me, I'm old. It's hard to break those habits. So, Washington Commanders. So now we're looking at the Bears. Some more news here. The Bears, they signed this 6-year veteran to a 1-year deal in the offseason. Really good move. It's going to pay dividends. And Zaccheaus had this to say when he was signed. I've always prided myself on being able to move around on the inside and outside. I think primarily I'll be more in the slot, but just having the ability to move outside and move around in offense in an offensive scheme, that's something I pride myself in doing. Ben Johnson kind of talking about this, wanting a player to play in space. Zaccheaus had this referring to that. I think just from afar, you see what Ben Johnson's offenses have done in the past, the creativity, the play calls, how great the offenses have been and how productive they've been. I think that's what excites me. Sorry about that. Desperate measures. So he really contributed to a huge year from Jaden Daniels last year, and this is kind of the close from him. The biggest thing, I think, is just the mental aspect of it for any young quarterback, especially Caleb. He has all the talent that you need to be a top-tier quarterback in this league, and a lot of it's just going to be the mental aspect of it and kind of just slowing the game down. Guess what? If you have a versatile slot receiver, the game gets slow indeed. And the Bears, they just announced training camp times and dates, and we're looking at starting rookies reporting to Hallis Hall on July 19th, and veteran players will arrive on July 22nd ahead of their first camp practice. So absolutely cannot wait for this. Can't wait to get to the regular season as well. You guys have been great. Bear down. This is going to be a great season, and I'll see you tomorrow.